sitting in my office. You guys are about to hear part 1 of the episode with Peter Cortner, who now I call my friend. I hadn't seen him play for many, many years, since the Field Day tour. Maybe that was 88 or 89. And then they came back as Field Day and went and saw the show, and I was just blown away. It sounded incredible. It was just an amazing show. And got talking to those guys and put them on some shows, and now we talk all the time, and I'm fucking honored. Dag Nasty, as you can see on my thing, is one of my favorite bands. And there's Wig Out right there at the top. Wig Out. So I hope you guys enjoy this. This is his first interview ever on a podcast. First interview maybe in like almost 30 years. So I'm fucking truly honored. We talked for like 4.5 hours. I could talk to him all day. He's a very smart, amazing human. And this is part 1. I hate doing this on the phone, but I just had to do it. We're in quarantine now. I have no fucking choice. And the sound isn't the best, and you don't get the best energy when you're face to face. It's just a way better connection. But I do what I gotta do, man. I want to have these conversations. So I hope you guys enjoy this part 1 with Peter Cortner from Dag Nasty, Wig Out, and Field Day. And he has a new group called Field Day, which is him and Doug. And they're doing songs from Field Day, Wig Out, and they have new music coming out, which is very exciting. So I hope you guys listen and enjoy this talk with Doug. Dag Nasty is one of my favorite bands of all time. Without them, there'd probably be no H2O. Dag Nasty, 7 Seconds. I got a Dag Nasty right here on my finger. 7 Seconds, Dag Nasty. Yeah, man. Melodic and positive and wonderful lyrics and very inspirational band. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. This is part 1. Thank you guys truly for your support. Hey guys, stoked to announce that Revelation Records will be sponsoring the next 5 podcasts, 5 episodes with Revelation Records. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for the amazing soundtrack of my youth. Revelation Records has put out some of the most classic hardcore records in history. Some of the most iconic photos by BJ Pappas are on most of those albums. And most of my friends' bands have put records on Revelation Records. A lot of hardcore history. And I'm super stoked that they're part of the One Life, One Chance podcast for the next 5 episodes. The ad is coming up next. And it's fucking loud and it's awesome.
Hey, this is Sam Sumataro. I sing for a band called Drain from Santa Cruz, California. I'm here to tell you about our debut record called California Cursed, now available on Revelation Records. This summer we're going on tour with Go to revelationrecords.com for more. And here's 4 seconds of what we sound like. I'm stoked to be part of the Revelation family. Let's take the remaining 26 seconds to dive into what it means and what's up at Rev. Revelation kicked things off in New York City in 1987 with Warzone, Lower East Side Crew. After that, Gorilla Biscuits, Youth of Today, Judge, Inside Out, Chain of Strength, and many more. The times changed in the early 90s, and Rev was there, with artists like Quicksand, Texas is the Reason, Farside, and Into Another. There's new music from World Be Free, Constant Elevation, Urban Sprawl, Dare, and reissues of the classics from Inside Out, Side by Side, and Orange 9mm. Check out the Spotify playlist series. It's all at revelationrecords.com.
Check. Let me hear you say something, Peter, on here. Check.
Sure.
How you doing, sir?
I am.
You good?
I'm doing good. Yeah. You know, living through weird times.
Definitely weird times. So this is gonna be my first quarantined podcast, my first lockdown podcast, stay at home podcast, flatten the curve podcast. It is kind of weird though.
Wash your hands.
Wash my hands. I washed my hands before I got on this microphone.
Yeah, good.
So, all right, here we are.
We still don't know how these things transmit.
What happened? Oh, I know.
We still don't know how. It can go through the web if your hands are unclean.
Well, somebody said yesterday that it could stay on your shoes for like 5 days.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been leaving my shoes outside.
You have? Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, but that was at my wife's request.
Is that something you never done before until this?
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't doing that before. I might continue to do it.
Yeah, I think my wife's always trying to do that, and then just now we heard that yesterday. She's like, "See, I've been telling you guys for a long time not to wear shoes in here." You know?
Yeah, it would not surprise me if, for a lot of people, some of the things that we need to do now become habit.
Yeah, like
which isn't necessarily a bad thing, you know.
Yeah, after we get out of this, people could be more like, aware of their surroundings and washing their hands and germs, and people could be more germ freaks probably too. Like there might be more like people like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it really kind of forces you to look much more closely at what you're doing with your life, and not just in terms of health, not just in terms of cleanliness, but like, what do you do with your time?
Yeah.
And what really interests you? You know.
Yeah.
Some people may never have had the time to really find out.
Mm-hmm. And now they're being forced, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's it's very like first world white person luxury to be able to do that. To say, oh, well, I'm going to take advantage of this particular pause in the economy to get to know myself better.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay.
Or grow a mustache.
Yeah, my mustache. So everybody hit me up, say, look like I'm straight out of prison right now with my mustache.
I like it.
Thank you.
I think you should go for it.
I'm going to go for it to my birthday and see what happens. My birthday is like in a week. I'll be 50, so I'm trying to like.
There you go.
And we got like a punching bag in the back. We got weight bench. We got weights. My son's like, I did 50 pull-ups yesterday, 100 push-ups with Max. We're doing like all kinds of shit. So we're really trying to like keep our health game up over here, you know?
Yeah. That's a good thing to do.
It's good for your mind too, you know?
Very, very. It does a lot for your mood. If you're somebody like me who has dealt with depression, getting the physical activity is really important.
Yes, for sure.
It's just way too easy in a situation like this to let yourself go to a dark place.
100%, man. I'm wondering like how many people are gonna like leave their houses after lockdown, like lost weight or gain weight. Like who knows? Like it's interesting.
Yeah. It can definitely go either way.
All right. Well, welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I have you on here,
man.
This is a big deal for me. As you know, we're friends now, but before when I started this podcast, we hadn't really met yet. So this is awesome. So thanks for being here and for your time. I know you're really busy right now. Everybody's really busy in their houses. It's a perfect time though. No, it's a perfect time. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm not a fan of talking on the phone doing podcasts, but in this situation,
sure.
We live so far away from each other, and I want to have you on here, and it's way overdue, and I'm happy that you said yes. Anyway, welcome, and
thanks.
I got all my notes in front of me. I didn't realize you were like a couple different bands I didn't even know about. I did my little research on you. But first and foremost, where were you born?
Oh, yeah. Where was I born? I was born in Washington, D.C.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
And you went to school.
Born in Washington. I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Nice.
Which is suburbs right outside of D.C. My dad, he was born in Florida. My mom is from Germany.
Oh, wow.
The two of them met in England. And then ended up coming to the States.
That's awesome. Do you have brothers and sisters too?
I do. I have one older sister and one older brother.
And were you guys tight growing up?
Well, my brother and sister were pretty tight. They're like 5 and 7 years older than I am.
Oh, okay.
So, when you're young, that's enough distance in age that, I'm just a pain in the ass younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I was definitely a pain in the ass.
Yeah. You like the wild kid?
What? I'd love to be able to say I was a wild kid, but really obnoxious is really a more accurate term.
Okay.
Like just it's not like I was getting into trouble. I was just a total wise ass.
Gotcha. Did that get you in trouble, being a wise ass?
It didn't make me particularly popular, but I'm actually, it's funny you say that though, because every now and then Madonna and I talk about this. She's always kind of surprised that I've gotten this far in life, in my mid-50s, without getting punched. And that is, she started really bringing that up when we first moved to Philadelphia.
Okay.
Because Philadelphia is not a town where you necessarily want to just be indiscriminately a wise ass to people.
True, very true.
That you don't know very well.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I don't know what she's talking about. I got no idea. But that's an interesting thing that you bring up about that, because do I have it right? You're the youngest in your family.
Correct.
Is that right? Yeah. So
yeah.
You had
two brothers,
2 older siblings, 2 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the age difference there?
My brother Todd is I'm about to be 50. I think Todd Morse is my brother's 3 years older than me, and then my brother Tracy is 2 years older than Todd. So it's a pretty
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
it was interesting. Did your brother and sister go to school with you, the same school and stuff, or no?
We did go to a lot of the same schools.
Yeah.
We were far enough away in age that we weren't in schools at the same time.
Yeah.
Now I think about how different it might have been if we had been in the same schools.
Yeah.
But we were far enough in time that by the time I got into school, nobody in the school would have any idea who my brother or sister was.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course, at this point, the schools I was going to were all ones where, they were just like 2 or 3 year schools. Even the high school that I went to, at this time, the high schools in our area were just 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
Gotcha.
So it was constantly schools. I guess you must have had a similar experience though, because you were moving a lot. Like, when did you move? You were in Rhode Island before you were in St. Mary's?
Yeah, I was in Massachusetts, and then I was in Rhode Island for middle school, and then I was in St. Mary's County, Southern Maryland, Lexington Park for high school. So,
when you moved to Southern Maryland, were either of your brothers still going to school?
Yeah, my brother Tracy actually said, "Fuck that! I'm not leaving Newport. I'm staying here. I'm not going to go to the South." So my brother Tracy never came at first, so me and Todd had to go. So me and Todd went to school together for a minute, and then he graduated. And then my brother Tracy came back for a moment, but yeah, we still lived in the same apartment complex.
Right. So you and Todd then would have shared the experience of having to start out at a new school in a new area.
Yes.
Entirely.
Yeah. Twice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Man.
And there was the South too, and the South is way different than where we grew up, especially in that early 80s part. There wasn't no skateboarders or punk rockers or nothing in St. Mary's County. It was a lot of racism I experienced, a lot of separation and different cliques and rednecks and just different, Confederate flags and stuff I never seen before, it was a culture shock to me.
Yeah. It took me a while to wake up to the fact that Maryland is very much a southern state.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I feel like the area that I grew up in Silver Spring, was very middle class. It was also pretty integrated, especially for the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of grew up thinking, oh, well, this is how the world is.
Yeah.
You know, this is like the world is just this sort of harmonious place. And it would just really blow my mind when I left that area and went to different places, and it's like, wow, no, it's not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got a long way to go.
Yeah. I mean, how was it in school? Did you experience racism in school in Maryland and Silver Spring, or was it?
No, you know, I mean, I'm gonna say that I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I am sure it was there. I'm sure it was there in a lot of ways that it took me a very long time to be sensitive to. It was probably there in a lot of ways that I still don't get.
Yeah, totally.
But at the time, I didn't grow up with people who ever expressed that they had some sort of sense of otherness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of like, well, you know, these people are different.
Yeah.
It just seemed where we were was just very multicultural.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different languages. And I think that was just the proximity we were just that close to DC.
Yeah.
Kind of area.
Yeah, like all cultures.
You know, whereas, you know, my wife she lived like 40 minutes away from where I was, but she was closer to getting down into southern Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
and not as far down as where you were.
Yeah.
But her experience where she was living was much more difficult. Like she saw a lot of weird shit.
Yeah. So how were you in high school? Were you like a kind of like the black sheep in the school? Did you have a lot of friends?
High school was a little odd because I ended up going back and forth between two different schools.
Okay.
So high school for me started in 10th grade. I was 1 year in one place. The second year, 11th grade, I got enrolled in this art program where I ended up going to a different high school and spending half the day in an art studio.
Oh, wow.
And half the day doing regular classes.
That's cool.
And then the following year, I kept doing that, but I was doing my regular classes at my old high school. So it was a lot of weird transitions there. But I have never been much of a, let me just say, I tend to relate best to people like one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
So being part of a team, part of a crew, a group, it's not something I'm very used to.
Okay.
So, you know, I was pretty happy with the friendships that I had. There weren't a lot of them, but it wasn't like I felt like, oh man, I wish I was friends with a lot more people.
Yeah.
If anything, it was just like, you know, nope. Two or three.
That's all you need, man. Just a few good ones, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it was, but I mean, the great thing about high school was that's when I started hearing different kinds of music.
Okay.
And that just made a huge difference. And part of the reason I was able to do that was because I was in this art program, and the guy who was teaching it would let us listen to music while we were doing our artwork.
That's cool.
So aside from like the squabbles that people had over what we were going to listen to, it meant being exposed to a lot of different stuff, and that was really cool.
Yeah, and
I mean, when did you first start hearing punk rock? Were you hearing that in St. Mary's?
No, I heard it. I heard it in Rhode Island because I went to school with John Jones in middle school, and his brother was Chris Jones. He sang for Verbal Assault.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then there was like We had Vicious Circle, and we had Proletariat, Idle Rich. These are like some of the bands in the area, you know. And so my brother started going to shows at the living room in Providence. He started taking me to shows. So that was my really first exposure. And John Jones had a band called Positive Outlook, and he was like one of my best friends. And then obviously I got into his brother's band, and that's when Verbal Assault kind of started. So yeah, I got thrown into the mix of that, which was awesome. And that's where I got into skateboarding, and then like, you know, skateboarding got banned during the America's Cup. We used to be like skate punks through the streets. We all skate through the city of Newport, and then like there was a bunch of tourists came in for the America's Cup races, and they banned skateboarding, and we did a petition. We went to City Hall, like all of us and the Verbal Assault guys, and we petitioned outside to get skateboarding back in our town, and we won, and we got skateboarding. It was just a crazy time. It was pretty amazing times to be in Newport during that time, and it was a perfect timing for me and my brothers.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you were saying at that point you were in middle school.
Yep.
You were a young guy.
Yeah, I was.
Man.
And so my mom was like working a couple jobs to obviously to keep food on our plates. Me and my two brothers, because my dad had passed in Massachusetts, and my mom got a job in Rhode Island. So that's why it was easy for my brothers to kind of sneak me out to the shows, because my mom was working like 2 jobs. She worked at the Holiday Inn. She worked at Solomon's Island, these other spots. And long story short, yeah, my brothers got me into punk rock in Rhode Island.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was music like important to you before that?
Not really. You know, it's like,
interesting.
I got into skateboarding first, and then through skateboarding you get into Thrasher, and then you get into the skate rock mixtapes with like Mick Rad and the Faction, Youth Brigade. So I started hearing the skate punk music, because it was in all the videos. It's like in the Bones Brigade videos and all those VHSs videos that came out back then. So I was like, the soundtrack to the music I was skating to was punk. And my brother brought home like this 8-track of like the Sex Pistols, never mind the Bullocks, whatever Bullocks. And I thought it was cool, you know what I mean? But I thought it was cool, but I really didn't really relate to it lyrically. And I didn't even know what the fuck a Bullock was. But yeah, my brothers exposed me to it, man. They brought me to my first shows, and I was like, it was 82, 83. I was like 12 or 13. And it was awesome. That shit changed my life, because I didn't have any other music. I didn't really know any about music. Whatever was on the radio, my mom played Jim Croce in the house, or Neil Sedaka, whatever my mom was playing in the house.
Right.
But then my brothers just, you know, brought me to these shows. I was like, holy fuck, this is like, it was just like a home. It was just, I don't know, it was hard to explain, but yeah.
See, that's really interesting to me, because it sounds like when you started getting into music, because it sounds like you're saying the skate stuff happened first.
Yes.
And then you've got this music that's the soundtrack to that. So it's like topical for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, one of the issues with the Sex Pistols was that lyrically it didn't necessarily connect.
No.
So you were already kind of in tune to that idea that the lyrics have an importance.
For sure.
For me, it was like the journey into that was completely different. Like I was pretty into music before I got into punk.
Okay.
Not playing music.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't a musician. Still can't play an instrument.
Me either. Don't worry.
But as into music as I was, lyrics were kind of, if they were cool, they were cool. If they weren't, but I liked the music, I didn't think about it too much.
Yeah.
And I got into the Pistols just because it was like, oh, wow, here's somebody saying fuck this and fuck that.
Fucking all the fuckers.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just because it was outrageous.
Yeah.
It was obnoxious.
No, don't get me wrong. I love the Sex Pistols, and I played that 8-track and that cassette, whatever after that. I loved the music because I could skate to it, but I really didn't know what I was singing along to, because I didn't know like what Anarchy was. I didn't even heard of what the UK Anarchy in the UK and the Bullocks and Bodies and all that shit. And then like some of the punk rock was like fuck your parents and fuck the president, all the shit. And I love my mom. Like I wasn't gonna be like fuck my mom, you know. So it's like But then that's when it turned into like verbal assault, and I met those guys and their message, and they were like kind of serious, and they were incredible songs, and the lyrics were just, I don't know, I learned a lot. It was almost like my, I don't know, it was just like my education. I don't know, I just, the lyrics and stuff. Then obviously Minor Threat, and then 7 Seconds in these bands. I feel like a lot of the punk rock was like anarchy, fuck your parents, fuck the world. Then I feel like this hardcore shit was like, we're angry too, but we also have a message and we want to fix things. It's easy to say fuck everything and not do anything about it, but like these other bands were singing about change, and I don't know, I just really connected to that, I guess. I don't know.
So do you ever feel burdened by feeling like any song that you do has got to have a message to it? Like you can't just say, no, this one's going to be like the B-52s, man. This is just going to be about, I just want to be able to have fun with this one.
No, I mean, we did we did on the last couple records. We did it's like, I want to write a song called Skate. I want to write a song about skateboarding. I've been skating my whole life. I haven't one song about skateboarding. Even if nobody in my band can skate, which Rusty can skate, my brother could skate, I just want to do a song all about skateboarding. Like, it's a super fun song. Yeah, and we did that on the last record, and it was great. We made a video, and it was really fun to do something that wasn't like that. But obviously, not all of our shit is serious, and my band's not. We don't take ourselves too seriously. Obviously, we try to have positive messages and uplifting messages and stuff that people can relate to, community and family and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm not so hard on myself. Like, we have to write a song about this is happening right now. We're not a political band. We're not like that kind of stuff. It just kind of flows, I guess. We don't set out to write like something that has a credible meaning. It usually just comes out the way it comes out, and I don't know. There's like no really agenda to the songs. It's just whatever we're feeling. Because I write my shit down, like we talked about the other day, me and you. I write my stuff down like what's on my mind. I write a bunch of notes about one topic, and it looks like shit on a piece of paper. But then you put it together and you put it together, make it make sense. It's not going to flow when I write it. I'm just writing these ideas in a notepad. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I love silly punk. I love goofy shit too as well. But I'm just saying, for me personally, I connected to this shit that was like, 7 Seconds. Let's say on New Wind, they had a song called "Man Enough to Care" about a dad raising his son so manly, and he couldn't show affection. Like, that song really fucking stuck with me my whole life, and I didn't even have a dad at that point. Never thought about being a dad, but I could cry to that song right now. It has such an emotion to it, and nobody in punk rock was singing about like dads raising their kids to be man. You can't be gay and all this stuff. Nobody was singing about that shit. So for me, I was like, wow, this is like a topic that, like, I don't know. I connected to not just serious, but I mean, also I love Descendants, and they sing about farting and all this stuff too, and I love that too. I don't know. And then
man, before the Descendants, I didn't realize how important farting was. But once I heard them, and I understood that this is something I really believe strongly in.
Yeah, dude, we all fart, but just they put on record, that was insane. And even with Descendants, like, talking about coffee, like my mom drank like Sanka. Like, I thought coffee was for adults, and then Descendants are singing, these punk rockers are singing about how much they love coffee. I'm like, holy shit, this isn't just for our parents. Like, they were the first ones talking about that shit.
But you still managed to like keep away from the whole Java experience until fairly recently, isn't that right?
You said Java?
Java, yeah. Drinking coffee. Like, coffee was not your thing.
It wasn't. And I drank it for the whole month of December last year, and then I quit on January 2nd. I never had it since, and I don't miss it at all. It was really fun for like the month, but it made me jittery and shittery, and it made me like crash hard and get dehydrated, and it didn't work for me, man. I'm already hyper as it is. It just, my wife loved it. She's like, oh my God, finally you're addicted to something. Finally you're, I don't know. She's just teasing me about it. But yeah, then I had to let it go because it just wasn't me. It wasn't working for my body. But yeah, I never fucked with coffee my whole life, but I respect it. I learned a lot about it through Descendants for sure. Mug and all that stuff. And sure. Yeah, it's interesting, man. But so So your first exposure to punk rock was in high school?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I sometimes try to remember, like, when was it? Because the first punk that I heard was definitely the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, I
But I'm
think.
like, I don't quite remember where I heard that, but definitely, I think the next thing that I heard was the Clash.
Yeah.
But even when I got into the Clash, it took a while for me to get into anything else. Like, I had no idea that there was any kind of music coming out of DC
Mm-hmm.
until I started in this art program.
Okay.
One of the guys that I was in there with was Joe Lally, and Joe introduced me to a lot of stuff that I
Okay.
hadn't heard before. That,
Yeah.
like, set me on my way. I mean, everything from like Dead Kennedys to Joy Division to the Stooges, all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And although oddly enough, it wasn't him that introduced me to hardcore. It was the brother of another friend of mine.
Okay.
But then when I heard about it, and I was like, Joe, you got to hear this stuff. He's like, oh yeah, I know all that stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Like circle
But
jerks?
yeah, that was, you know, for whatever reason, like, I think because my introduction to hardcore was started with DC bands,
Yeah.
I already got like weirdly territorial.
Gotcha.
You know, I
Wow.
was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to listen to those California bands except for Agent Orange. Agent Orange made the cut.
They were
But-
sick.
but
Agent
I
Orange was great.
You know, I mean, there were lots of exceptions to the rule, but I was like, California bands, they're not, they don't have the right attitude. Boston bands, they don't have the right attitude. I'm more into the DC thing.
So no
Which
New
was,
York bands for you
know,
either, huh? Back then?
I think at the point where I was getting into it, I don't know what New York bands were even around.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
This was like 80, 81,
Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't, I should say, I didn't start ignoring New York bands until much later. It's a ridiculous thing, but like I watched Godfathers of Hardcore the other day.
Amazing, man.
It was fucking great.
How good is that?
Absolutely
It's
fucking great.
so good, man.
But here's the deal. That's the first time I ever heard music by Agnostic Front.
Wow. That's kind of cool, though. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of cool in a way, yeah. Holy shit, that's crazy,
well,
Peter.
I mean, it's great. It's great to be able to hear it, and I loved it. But oh man, that movie is awesome.
It's incredible,
It
man.
is absolutely awesome. Yeah, it was so good.
So wow, that's
so
your first
good.
time ever really hearing them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing about Julie Field Day now. It's sort of given me more of a reason to listen to a lot of stuff that I missed
Gotcha.
the first go round.
Yeah.
Because, as I meet people doing this, I'm really curious about what's the stuff that they're into? What have they been listening to?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, for me, it's all new, even though it's probably stuff that, Matt's is probably like, oh, yes, that's the old man's music.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, so yeah, it's true. All right, so so back to high school for a second. Besides getting into music, were you good in school? Like, did you have like goals? Would you play sports?
No, man, I was really like rudderless
Mm-hmm.
in school. I mean, I had some talent for art, so I was able to get into this program, and that was about the thing that I was the most serious about. But even with that, like my my teacher really had to like stay on my ass
Yeah.
to get me to like put a portfolio together.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for him, I'm sure that I would never have gotten into art school.
Yeah.
After high school, I went to the Pratt Institute in Brooklyn for a year.
Oh, wow.
But I ended up dropping out because I wasn't, half the time I wasn't even going to class.
Yeah.
It's a huge waste because it was a great school,
Mm-hmm.
great teachers there. But I was just like, no, man, I'm gonna sit in my room and listen to music all day.
Wow.
I didn't get diagnosed with ADD until like much later in adulthood. But once I was diagnosed, everybody was like, "It's pretty clear you've had this like forever."
People said it about me. I'm wondering. Is it just because it was hard to focus for you and stuff like that? I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's not. I guess the thing with my experience is I can definitely focus on something if it's got my interest,
yeah.
but it interferes with setting realistic priorities.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that may be really uninteresting, but you kind of need to pay attention to it
Yeah.
if you want to be able to live independently.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wasn't there.
Yeah, I had this thing with Max where like he wanted to get tested for it because he's like he wasn't doing as good in some certain classes. I'm like, listen, I was exactly the same way in school. I only focused on shit I cared about. If I wasn't into the subject, I didn't give a shit about it or pay attention to it. Like I loved art. I loved shit. Maybe I don't know what else I loved in school, but I didn't really love. I was really bad in school. All I cared about was skateboarding. I would skip school. I would skate every day. I'm like, my mom couldn't really. Not control, but she was so busy with like trying to survive that we like just skating. I wasn't getting in trouble. I wasn't doing any drugs, nothing, but I was just like skating every day. And I just focused on shit that I cared about. And that's what Max was having issues with too. And then he wanted to get tested. And I'm like, you sure? You sure? You sure? And then his grades were really great. Like this, up until this quarantine is the best grades I ever got, in 11th grade. And I was like that too, 9th and 10th grade. And then I got better in 11th and 12th. I started paying attention more. But like I've always been told, like, you're so hyperactive. I think my mom had me on Ritalin when I was a kid, possibly, because I was super hyperactive, hard to focus, hard to sit still in my chair. But it wasn't called ADD back then. I guess maybe it was. I don't know. But
I mean, I certainly never heard that term.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever heard was, your problem is you're a spaz.
Exactly.
And that was it,
You remember Jolt? You remember Jolt Cola?
Yeah. That's funny. I haven't thought about Jolt in a long time, but sure.
You always used to drink that shit and go crazy. It would make you so hyper and go skateboarding, drinking a Jolt Cola. Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
So once you got diagnosed with ADD, you're already out of school, obviously, and then you
like this was. I think I got diagnosed within like the last 20 years.
Okay.
Like I was already like, the experience that I was having in school where of being like capable of doing work, but just not following through, that followed me into everything in adult life.
Got you.
And it was like maybe the second go around of like trying to find a career and not getting anywhere with it that I finally went and saw a doctor, and it was like, yeah, maybe you need to talk with a psychologist, or maybe even a psychiatrist, and see what's up with that. But as a kid, nah, I had absolutely no idea.
So then once you got like a label or title for what you had, did it all make sense to you? Like everything you've been through as far as like school and focusing and life leading up to that point?
It did. I question it a little bit more now, only because I'm aware of how much about my upbringing I don't know.
Mm.
Like I don't have access to my parents anymore, so I can't really quiz them on things.
Gotcha.
And my brother and sister know some stuff, but again, they were all off on their own trip,
Yeah.
So they don't. Both of them moved away from home like as soon as they got out of high school. So my whole adolescent and teenage years, they don't really know much about.
Gotcha.
But yeah, some things made sense. Some
Yeah.
things, but the questions I have at this point are more about my parents and their style of parenting,
Gotcha.
and where their heads were at.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get into your 50s and you have a completely different perspective on when I think about my parents and the age they were when I was a teenager, I realized they were a lot younger than I am now.
Yeah.
So I almost think of them as kids too. It's like, oh my God, they were just in their 30s. What the fuck did they know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I mean, I love my parents. My parents were great, but the choices that they made, they were very sort of like hands off. Like, you do your thing. If you ever, have a problem, come and talk to me about it. But
Yeah.
they weren't like checking to see if there were things going on.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to interfere, and they thought that was the right way to approach it. And maybe in some instances it is, and others maybe it's not.
Yeah. Well, so they weren't strict at all.
No.
You had lots of freedom.
They really weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like we were all out of control.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I started coming home with bad grades,
Mm-hmm.
I got a look of disapproval, but there was no follow-up, and what I got out of that was the next time I got a bad report card, nobody saw it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they weren't necessarily asking,
Mm.
so I don't know. It's a trip.
You guys are religious. You guys are
not
religious.
being
Go ahead.
not being a parent myself, there's a lot about it that I probably won't ever know, just because I haven't had the same experience. I can't go, oh yeah, now I get it.
Yeah. Your voice. By the way, your voice sounds perfect right now. It sounded muffled a little bit. Now it sounds I don't know what you did, but it sounds perfect right now. By the way.
Oh, good.
I was going to tell you second. So, you guys grew up religious at all, or no?
So, my dad, he was a Catholic priest.
Wow. Okay.
He was a Catholic priest, I believe, up until the point where it was obvious he was going to have a child.
Yeah.
My older brother. So he was in a seminary in Oxford. And my mom was one of the maids at this place.
Okay.
And she had moved from Germany to England, and the two of them started this affair.
Okay.
And when my mom got pregnant, my dad left the priesthood.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
wow.
You would think maybe I grew up in a very strict Catholic family, but it really wasn't that way.
Mm-hmm.
It was really weird. My dad was definitely Catholic, but he was his approach to Catholicism was just like his approach to medicine. He was a guy who, if he got diagnosed with high blood pressure,
mm-hmm.
he would find a doctor who said he didn't have high blood pressure.
Oh, wow.
He like shopped around.
Damn.
And so my dad did a lot of like religious shopping around too.
Okay.
Still all within Catholicism,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like he had to find, the right priest and the right parish and all of this shit.
Wow.
My brother and sisters went to Catholic school almost through all of high school. They did like their last couple of years in public school. I got thrown out of Catholic school in third grade.
What?
And I still don't really know why. All I know is at a certain point, my parents were like, "Hey, you're going to be going to public school now." And apparently someone at the school just said, we don't think your son is going to do well here.
Wow.
And that was all the explanation I got. I don't know. Maybe I had the mark of the devil on my forehead. I got no idea.
So you never knew
but
what
I didn't
happened?
mind.
Wow.
No, I really don't. But I definitely didn't mind. Like I liked public school a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go
ahead.
No.
I was gonna say, yeah, we were raised Catholic as well. And did our first communion, did all that stuff. My mom was really heavy on forcing us to go to church, especially then after my dad passed too. We like church all the time. And I don't know if this is fucked up to say, but me and my brothers talked about it recently. Is that like, I don't know if you saw that movie Spotlight. It's about all the priest child molestation cases in Boston.
Yeah.
So me and my brothers talked about it recently. Like we went to churches there, and we were so fucking lucky nothing happened to us because we were prime targets. We had like we had no dad. Our dad just died, and with 3 like young boys going to church. I think my brothers were altar boys. We were so during all that time. It's crazy. When the movie came out, we were talking about it. Like, it's not saying it should have happened to us. I'm saying we're very lucky it didn't. But like at that moment, 3 young boys going to church all the time in those same churches with no father figure, and it's crazy, man. It was to think back and think about that, because we were heavily into church. We went into it. My mom made us go, but God, I hated going to church, man. Damn, man. I did not like going.
I wasn't a fan.
Yeah,
I definitely wasn't a fan.
that's like that's a perfect example of kids rebelling against their parents and why parents shouldn't force shit on you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I could not wait never to go there again after we, I got old enough to say when I moved out or whatever. Like, I'm not going to that shit. But
yeah.
When did you did you move away from home when you were young or no?
No. So I'm trying to think. I don't think I actually ended up moving out of my mom's house. My parents got divorced when I was, I'm going to say like 10 or 11.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But my dad moved away like within walking distance.
Oh, okay.
So, I saw my dad all the time.
Yeah.
Like practically every day.
Yeah.
But I didn't move out of my mom's house until I think I was already in Dag Nasty.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up moving in with Mandana.
Okay.
We've been together forever.
You guys met in
I
high
was
school?
19 when I.
Okay.
I was 19 when I met her. So I was out of high school.
Yeah.
But she was still in high school.
Wow. Okay. That's an amazing love story, man. To be together that long, that's incredible, man.
Yeah. Lucky me, man.
Yeah, man.
Lucky me.
She's
very awesome.
She's so awesome. All right. So wait. So how old? So you had other bands before Dag Nasty, though. I looked at some of your bands, and maybe I'm wrong if they were before or after, but like Pitbull, Protem, Los Vampiros, Lunchbox, Bloodbats. Was that before Dag Nasty or after?
So let's see. So in order, the first. So everything before Dag Nasty, that was Body Count, Lunchbox, Pitbull, and Pro Tem.
Pro Tem.
And in Pro Tem, I was playing bass.
Oh, sick.
In all the others, I was singing.
Okay.
Body Count was something I was in for like a couple of seconds. And then a buddy of mine who I was sharing the mic with took over. And they went on and did like some pretty cool stuff. I'll have to get you their demo.
Okay.
Lunchbox and Pitbull were both things that barely made it out of the basement.
Okay.
Like no recordings, nothing like that. But those were both with Joe. With
Okay.
Joe Lally. He had decided. He just decided one day. He was like, "I'm going to learn to play bass, and I'm going to be a bass player. That's what I'm going to do with my life."
Wow.
And he was serious, and that's exactly what he did.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's awesome.
So the first go round, he was just like, "Look, do you want to do a band? Because I want to be a bass player." I'm like, "Yeah, okay. You get some people together. I'll do it. Sounds like fun."
Yeah.
But I think about that, and I was going to ask you about this. Like, at what point did you develop the desire to sing for a band?
The thing for H2O was kind of like, I mean, it was a joke. It was, I had wrote one song called "My Love Is Real." I was a roadie for Sick of It All. We were traveling around the world for like 4 years. I was with them for like 4 or 5 years, and we do like do an encore or something fun. And I would go up and do this screaming song with the guys in Sick of It All playing the music for it. And I made stickers, and we started spreading the word. There's a band called H2O. I don't even know why I called it that. I think because it was going to be like a spin-off, like a youth crew band, because water's so pure and all I drink is water. And I don't know. It was just a fun, goofy thing. And I had all I knew is I left Southern Maryland, and I wanted to move to New York, and I moved there by myself. I was pen pals with Timmy Chunks from Token Entry. I got dropped off at CBGB's with all my shit. Token Entry was playing a Sunday matinee. I was totally scared. Never been to CBGB's before. After the show, I went back to his house in Queens. That's where I was going to live and get a job and do something in music. I had nothing. I didn't go to college. I barely made it out of high school. And I started working, and we're actually doing weekend stuff with like Underdog and Gorilla Biscuits and Raw Deal and Sick of It All, like doing these little roadie tri-state area type things. Got a job working in the mailroom at Roadrunner Records and Concrete Marketing. And then, I don't know, I guess people started actually saying they liked the one song that I was doing. And it's actually on the recording of the end of our first album. It's Rancid was playing a sold-out show at the Wetlands on their first album with a Veil. And they invited me up on stage to do this song. And we did the song to like a sold-out crowd of like random punk rockers. And they were just staring at me like, what the fuck is this? And then even Lars on the microphone, he goes, "New record coming out next summer at Epitaph." Like just totally joking. Meanwhile, like 5 years later, we're signed to Epitaph, which is totally insane. But it was just something funny and goofy. And then I was like, fuck it. Let's just try to do it. And we wrote like 5 songs. And then Sick of It All took us on this tour with Civ for 8 weeks in a bus in 1995. It was H2O, Civ, and Sick of It All. And we fucking had 5 songs in one T-shirt. And that was it. And that was the beginning of it, I guess. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't want to be a singer. I didn't know I could even sing, or at least think I could sing a melody. Because the one song we did, I was screaming. My nose would bleed. I get hemorrhoids probably. Like I was just screaming the wrong way, and it was totally insane. And then I lose my voice after that one song. So like after the 8-week tour, I was like, fuck. Then we got offered a record deal and a 7-inch, and it just happened. But it wasn't ever supposed to happen, dude. I was supposed to be the guy who pulled my pants down, did Pussy Boy on stage. I would do crazy sack flap. I would do crazy shit stuff that I talk about off the podcast. People listen to podcasts, they know, they've heard the stories from Sick of It. I was a crazy, wild, hyperactive kid that they took on tour, and I was supposed to be the weirdo on the side of the stage, diving in the crowd, helping the band. I wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to happen. Here I am 25 years later in the same fucking band. But back then it was just a joke, man, and it just became reality. And I had no expectations of being a singer. I'll move to New York and be a singer and start a band. It was nothing like that. I was like, I'm gonna move to New York. I love this. I love the hardcore scene. I want to be part of this scene and do something. And it just fucking happened, man. And it's only band I've ever been in. Like, I didn't do anything before that. You know what I mean? Somebody like, oh, I had a couple bands before that. I've been in one band. It's interesting, man. Sorry I talk so much, but yeah, it's weird.
It is seriously interesting. I mean, that is really a trip. That is really a trip because to me, not just like having seen you on stage, but just getting to know you, it seems like the most natural thing in the world. So it's a trip that it happened practically as an accident.
Totally. As an accident.
You know?
Yes. Yeah, it's insane. Obviously, I love being on stage. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I love what I do. I love playing shows. I love writing songs. I love everything about the whole thing. But I just didn't. I took a chance, man. I moved to New York by myself. I knew Timmy Chunks. That's it. And literally a month after I left my first love in Maryland on a winding fucking road through the woods of Southern Maryland, saying goodbye to my first love, my first everything, and then going to New York, I got kicked out a month later because Timmy Chunks is like, sorry, the landlord doesn't want you here. And then at that point, Arthur from Token Entry had just quit Token Entry to going Gorilla Biscuits. So Arthur took me in. I lived at his parents' house, man. I lived in his fucking bedroom. I was like all over Queens at these different people's apartments, man. It was crazy, man. So like I'm saying, like for Timmy Chunks, it was like no big deal. Yeah, come to New York, you live with me. For me, I was leaving everything. My mom, I was the first kid out of the family to leave. Well, obviously Tracy, but like leave Maryland. I left it by myself, and for me, I gave up everything. For them, oh, come stay in New York. It's all good, you know. Like it wasn't a big deal. But for me, I was like a little kid. Like I never forget getting like my Dear John letter from my girlfriend. Like, sorry, I can't do a long distance relationship anymore. I was like, I was crying. And the New York love, like you feel the New York tough love. Like just get over it, kid. Who cares? Like the ball breaking and the love and the tough love. I never had that my whole life till I moved to New York. And I was around all these peers and all these people I grew up loving and listening to. They took me under the wing. Obviously, they called me like a hick and they teased the shit out of me. But they gave me like a tougher coat of paint. You know what I mean? Like they definitely.
Sure.
It was something I never experienced before, and yeah, man, I just took that chance, and so I'm very lucky, man. I'm very lucky to still be playing music, and I don't know. I just didn't really. I didn't expect that to happen. You know what I mean? I don't know what I was going to do, but I don't know. Here I am, man, talking to you.
You know, it's a funny thing, though, because, I hear that story, and what I think is the people around you were really lucky. Because I think that, think about the situation you're talking about with when you moved to New York.
Yeah.
And the tough love that you received. It occurs to me that for some people, the compassion that they showed to you might have been their first opportunity to ever do that.
Mm.
You might have brought out something in people that was there, but they hadn't had a chance to really have that happen yet.
That's awesome, man. That's a very interesting way to look at it, actually. I never thought about that.
Well, if nothing else, part of the reason that I got interested in seeing the documentary on Agnostic Front and ended up wanting to listen to all these New York bands and all of these other bands that I hadn't been listening to, in the decades that they were around, was because of your story. Because I had this idea of what these bands were like, and just feeling like, without even knowing them, without knowing dick about them, just whatever like impressions I got through my own muddied head, I felt like, well, I wouldn't have any connection with this music. This wouldn't mean anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I stopped to think, yeah, but these are the guys that were taking care of Toby.
It's
These were the
awesome,
guys
man.
that were like making sure that he was on his feet, that he had a place to stay, that he had family. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to hear these bands now.
That's
I
amazing,
think
man.
I
Thank
can
you.
feel like a thread, a connection, you
Yeah,
know.
for sure, man. It
And of
definitely
course,
we definitely were we definitely were a different sound and a different fit, but they definitely took us under their wing and accepted us into that family out there. You know what I mean? Because we none of us were from New York. We just came there, and a lot of people and a lot of the bands aren't all from New York as well. But New York City is where the band started and their bands were born, and that's where we were born. And yeah, it was definitely yeah. I mean, it couldn't happen any other place in the world because I love that scene so much. And I had been going to shows in DC, which I got to go to so many great shows. I got to see Embrace perform with Rites of Spring. I got to see Fugazi's first show. One of the Fugazi shows, Ian was handing out lyric sheets. So I got to be a part of all that stuff as well. My timing was impeccable because I got to go to Newport, Rhode Island when skateboarding was thriving, Verbal Assault. And then I got to go to Southern Maryland and start going to these shows like the Wilson Center and the Wust and 930 Club and DC Space and all these great shows and these at these different churches and all this stuff. And Rusty would drive me up there with Shauna Canny, a friend of ours, and we get to see all the DC bands. And what happened was I met Token Entry when they came to play the Marble Bar with Rollins, and that's when I met those guys. And just all the timing, it was just, I really believe timing is everything. I just feel like the timing that I was in these different scenes was the best time to be there, and I was very lucky to have been there. And who knows what would happen if I did have a dad that didn't die and he was strict and made me go in the military or something. I could have been raised a totally different way if my mom was working 2 jobs at a time to raise 3 boys. If my dad was in the mix, who knows how stricter or different my life would have been, because my mom was so busy too as well. And I don't know, I just feel like, and I connected with the punk because I saw father figures in like Kevin Seconds and Ian and Milo and these different people, Jello, and the lyrics and the songs, and I put them on this pedestal. I looked up to them because they were like a father figure to me that I didn't have, and that's, I think, really connected me. I don't know, man. It's punk rock's a very amazing form of music in hardcore, and it's very misunderstood, and it has a lot of different stigmas about it too, as far as how it looks on the outside. But for me, it was very welcoming and very warm, and a family I didn't have. You know, I love the smell of the show, the sweat, the energy. You could talk, the band would be playing, and then they'd be hanging up by the merch right after. Like, holy shit, we were all equal. It was just, there was something about it that really just resonated with me very young, man. And I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people, you know?
well, you know, it's funny because the what you were describing, it sounds like I would have a hard time imagining something that warm and fuzzy happening in DC. At least DC in the 80s. Like, you talk about the New York bands becoming like a family. In that sense, like, if you can see some of the guys you met in New York as parental figures, then I would see people in the DC scene are more like the sort of distant, waspy parents, you know, like, and this is being totally unfair to them because I don't know them. I have, all I can go is talk honestly about like my teenage and early 20s
Experience.
experience, and recognizing that it's like completely subjective.
Totally.
But to me, I never lost the sense of, I have to impress these people all the time. Like, you know, I'm not from the inner circle.
Okay. It was clicky.
So
Yeah.
unless I'm proving myself to them, unless I've got something to say that like can't be disagreed with, I better just like lay low.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
But again, you know, I think that has a lot more to do with what I was bringing to it.
Or what you're feeling at that time. Yeah, going through at
my
that
own
time.
background, and you know, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
I
maybe
felt,
New York was the place to be.
yeah, I felt 100% being myself. Everybody was from fucked up backgrounds. Like, you know, like everybody came from a situation that wasn't the typical perfect American family, and everybody met at CBGB's on Sundays. It was a fucking like going to church, and everybody had. It was a community thing for me, and I had no problem being myself. I was always the fucking freak. I was always like that growing up. I was always the guy that wasn't doing drugs. I was a skateboard kid. I didn't give a fuck. I breakdanced. I just, that's always been, and for me, punk rock taught me that I don't have to give a fuck or have to feel accepted, because when I was at the shows, I was part of a family, and all the freaks and all that. It wasn't like you were saying. You felt like it was more clicky, maybe a clicky feel in DC. Obviously, there's cliques in New York, but it wasn't. I know what you're saying though. I almost feel like some of the bands in DC were almost like professors to me. They taught me so much, and it was like way smarter level. Not saying New York was dumb, but it was like on some other level. They were on some other shit. You know, even with like the benefit concerts, just everything they were involved in was very like, they were in the mix of the real world. It wasn't just in this hardcore scene that was escaping the real world. A lot of the DC shit was like going against the government, just everything they were doing. They were speaking out, age, just everything. They were more like activists in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like they taught me that kind of stuff. It was more like
definitely.
educated. It wasn't street shit like New York. It was a different, but I loved it too because I learned so much from all those bands. Soulside, obviously Dag Nasty, like everything. Government Issue, Black Market Baby, Marginal Man, Swizz, Scream, all those bands, man. Embrace, one of my favorites. But like, and just singing and just showing the emotion side. Okay, let's do that, like the Summer of Love type stuff. That was showing like some emotional side of the music too. And all music has emotion. Agnostic Front have emotion. Mabel have emotion. They show in a different way. But there was some other shit, like when I was at the Beefeater show with Embrace, they were throwing flowers on the stage. It was a different thing. It was more grown up, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. But you were in it. You were in the mix, so, you know?
Yeah, although even I look at it and I'm like, wow, man, what was going on? Because at the point where Embrace and Beefeater were around, I mean, I'm trying to remember. Embrace was, I don't think was still together once I was in Dag Nasty.
Okay. I don't think so either.
They definitely existed when Dag Nasty started out.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. But I think they might have already been done. I think Beefeater was probably still together because the drummer, they definitely were, because their second drummer was also in pro tem with me.
Okay.
And in fact, he was the guy that told me that it would be funny if I answered Dag Nasty's ads looking for a new singer as a joke.
That's funny.
But
that's awesome.
But even with those bands, I was like, man, they were still totally on a pedestal to me.
Yeah.
And like what they were thinking and what was behind everything, I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were about. I just know that I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know?
I loved Embrace. That record that's in my top records. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Embrace was fantastic.
But not even just in like punk or hardcore. I put like Nas Illmatic's one of my favorite records of all time. It's a hip hop. Embrace would be in the top 5 as well. Like doesn't matter what genre. Just a record that like can still fuck with my heartstrings. Something that, you know what I mean. I still connect to it. Yeah,
I get it, man. There are times when I know better than to listen to Building, because I'm like, okay, do I feel like crying right now?
Yeah, totally.
You know, because that song will get me every time.
So
Every time.
yeah, so what were you doing right before you got into Dag Nasty? What band was that?
Oh, that was Pro 10. I was playing bass.
And what does that mean, Pro 10?
Pro 10 means for the moment.
Okay.
And why, I have no more idea of why that was the name of the band. And I have no idea. But that was, let's see, that was my high school friend, Damon Locks. He was singing. Mark Shellhouse was playing drums, and for a while he was playing drums also with Beefeater.
Okay.
And then the guitarist was Yanni Papadopoulos.
I heard that name. What's that name?
And so Yanni gets name checked along with Mark.
Oh yeah, Yanni. Yanni.
Big Out of Zenkos.
Yes. Yanni Drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And Yanni ended up moving to Philadelphia too. He's still here.
Oh, nice.
He has this band called Stinking Lizaveta, who are unfucking real.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
They are like they're a three-piece. They're instrumental, and they, at a certain point, like when they started out, they were going to have a singer.
Okay.
And after a while, they realized they were just better off without one. Like, the music was all that they needed. And they are super, super intense and a lot of fun.
You're going to send me a link to that.
A lot of fun. Yeah, definitely. You got to hear these guys.
So
they are great.
So how did you end up in Dag Nasty then? Like, was it audition?
So they had an ad in the local city paper, which I responded to, and as near as I can figure, I don't think they auditioned more than maybe 3 people.
Okay.
As far as I know. And I don't think that they were really, like, crazy about any of us.
Okay.
But the decision ended up being made based on who they thought they could stand being stuck in a van with.
I like that.
And so, yeah. So that was how I ended up getting the gig, and it just went from there.
Go ahead.
I was a huge fan.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. Like, I was so, like, when I auditioned for them, you know, I didn't have to have a lyric sheet. Like, I knew the song.
Nice.
I had only seen them with Dave once because he was in the band like such a short period.
Such a short time, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, with the exception of one song, all of those songs were songs they were already playing with Sean.
Okay.
Like, all the lyrics, all the music, it was already there.
Had you seen them before with Sean before that or no?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Tons of times.
Yeah.
Pro 10 played with them at least once.
Okay.
But yeah, I would go see them every chance I got. I absolutely loved the band.
Yeah.
So, you know, I thought it was cool, but so that, you know, but once I got in it, it was I was really like, wow, do I really want to sing for a band? And I thought about, like, singing for a band since I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Just in the kind of like, oh yeah, it'd be great to be in a band and like have all these fans and get to sing and do all this stuff, but I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I the bands that I sang for, you know, in a couple of basements, at that time I was like really into Henry Rollins.
Nice.
So that was like, you know, that was where I was trying to come from, and that was not what Dag Nasty was like at all.
No.
I went into it thinking, oh, it'll be cool. I'll do the songs like Sean did them, and they were like, no. here, you got to hear this recording with Dave. Like, that's what you've got to do. I was like, oh, okay.
So when you joined,
Yeah.
they were trying to have you sing like Smalley, kind of.
Well, that's what they wanted. After, it didn't take more than a couple of shows for them to realize that it wasn't going to happen that way.
Yeah.
And I don't know at what point. So when I joined the band, I joined in order for them to be able to do this tour with the Descendants.
Gotcha.
And if not at the point where I joined, but definitely somewhere, in the first month or so of that tour, I think that the band had pretty much decided that it was going to break up as soon as the tour was done.
Okay.
And which in fact is what ended up happening. So, like, we came back to DC, we did a recording of like 3 or 4 songs, and then that was it. The band was over, and Brian went to Los Angeles,
Junkyard,
and he started a band. He started a band with Doug.
Oh, okay.
And Brad X from Doggy Style.
Okay, so that wasn't
They
Junkyard
started
at
up a
that
band.
time, or no?
No.
Okay.
That wasn't later. So this band was called Doggy Rock, and they put out a record, and I don't know what happened with it, but next thing I know, I got a call from Brian. He said, "I'm moving back to DC. We're going to start up Dag again. Doug is going to be playing bass."
Oh, wow. Okay.
And at that point, the music that they came back with was, they thought it would be more geared to the way I sang.
Mm-hmm. More melodic.
Which was, yeah. And that was it.
Yeah. So when you first heard those songs, were you taken back by them because it was different than the Can I Say more aggressive type style of Dag Nasty, or you just?
I actually really liked it. Like, I thought it was very cool. I think that I wasn't initially very happy with what I ended up doing with them.
Okay.
But at least the music itself, I thought, oh yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the music I listened to at that time was really more like what they ended up coming up with for Wig Out,
mm-hmm.
Than the earlier stuff. And also, I knew, like, I would love to hear more music like Can I Say?
Yeah.
But I also know that, at least at the time, I didn't feel like I could do that kind of music justice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because now Field Day is doing it, and like, I love doing the Can I Say stuff.
Yeah. You sound great doing it too, by the way. Yeah, it's awesome, man. It really works.
It's just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is so much fun to do.
Yeah.
But it took me like 30 years to realize that. I think I just had a real mental block.
Mm. When the Wig Out record came out, what was the response? Because how long was the gap between Can I Say and Wig Out? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna say no more than maybe 8 months.
Holy shit! For real? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird, but it was not a long time. Like, Can I Say didn't actually come out, I think, until after I joined the band.
Okay.
It had been pressed. I mean, when I auditioned, Brian gave me a copy of it, but it wasn't available for sale yet.
Holy
and I don't
shit.
think it was available for sale until we were already like on the road for our first show.
Wow.
But so it was a weird thing going out and touring with this record with like a different singer.
Yeah.
Especially since I didn't sound anything like Dave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that was a weird thing right there. But then 6 months later to put out something that was so completely different. My feeling was I probably paid more attention at the time to people who didn't like it
Yeah.
than people who did like it.
Yeah. And that's pre-internet too, so it's like it was hearing from, that was just like word of mouth. Oh, this person doesn't like it, or that person doesn't like it, right? Because it was like no internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife says that sometimes.
But,
It's not who didn't show up to the show. It's actually who showed up that's the most important.
right. Yeah. I still feel that way.
Yeah. But that record, so was there blowback? Was it tons of blowback? Did people love it? Do you remember like first playing those songs live after the record had been out, a week out?
So it depended on where we played. If we played places where people hadn't necessarily heard the first record, people tended to dig it. Because, I mean, whatever else people thought of the material, when we played it live,
it works.
We were killing it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and because we played live a lot, like we were just constantly going out and playing, I think we ended up getting more people to like it because their first experience with us was seeing us play live.
Yeah, I like that.
Rather than hearing the record.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there were people who their first exposure to the band was Wig Out and they had never heard Can I Say,
yeah,
those people tended to be more on board. Whereas if they heard Can I Say, they were like, oh, fuck, I wanted more of that.
Mm-hmm. And then how was your home? Like, how was DC vibing on it when that came out?
The shows were really good.
Awesome.
Like the reaction when we would play was really good. I got the feeling that people in other DC bands might not have thought that much of it.
Mm. Gotcha.
But again, that's like, I look back at that and I'm like, I don't know that was true. Like, I was a very, very, very insecure guy.
Maybe it was in your head, yeah.
So in my head, definitely in my head, it was like, oh God, they hate us.
Mm-hmm. But you felt weird before that anyway, just as a kid going to shows. You even said that. Like, you felt like kind of like an out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So then now, you feel like everybody's looking at you now because now you replace Dave Smalley and put a new record out and it sounds different than Can I Say. Yeah, totally.
Although the only thing that was funny about that was that in any place outside of DC, I felt like anytime that I played, I was up against Smalley. I was up against people's expectations. But in DC, it was a completely different story because people in DC were really pissed off when they kicked out Sean and replaced him with Smalley. Because, it was just like this sudden thing. Like,
got you.
They wrote all of this music with Sean. They recorded everything except for 2 songs. Everything else on Can I Say, they recorded with Sean. And then they said, "Boop, you're out. Dave's in," and they re-recorded everything.
Wow.
And people did not think that was cool.
Yeah, that's kind
of.
That's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
But outside of town, people were like, "Fuck yeah, this record's great."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't know from Sean.
Yeah, I remember even hearing that song, and I remember hearing the record when it first came out too. I was like, "Holy shit, this is a new singer!" Like, but it worked. It wasn't like it wasn't like we were missing Smalley, because Can I Say it's his own thing. But then in Dag Nasty, these songs being sung by him might not work. But then like all this, I mean, every song on the record was just everything, just opening, just Godfathers, everything, Trying and Safe and Fall and everything, Exercises. But Safe, obviously, we covered that song. That song connected so much. I mean, I don't know, man. Just Safe is just. I mean, Godfather too, man. Just the whole thing had this emotional roller coaster from the first song to the last song. I feel like it was just so much in there, man. Were you proud of it?
Well, it's interesting though. I was really curious about the fact that you chose Safe to cover, because I know I've met a lot of people who, on that record, that's the song that they really go for.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me. So that's a song that Dag had already written the music for that song by the time I joined.
Yeah.
But they didn't have lyrics for it. But the main lyric, am I safe if I don't want to be with you?
Yeah.
That came from Brian.
Okay.
So Brian, and the majority of the lyrics on Can I Say are Brian's.
Okay.
Like, I've tried to figure out if any of those lyrics were Sean's, but I don't think so. I think they were pretty much Brian's.
I think I connected with Safe because back then one of our friends was hanging out with a different crowd of like more tough guys. This was like in Maryland, outside of DC.
Right.
He got caught up in the whole like tough guy thing, and when we see him, he'd act kind of normal with us because we knew who he really was, but he was putting on a front in front of this other crew of people that he was trying to be down with, and that song was totally about stuff like it. Just resonated with me, I think, and all of us when the record came out. It was about somebody we'd be dealing with at that one moment when living in Maryland and like going to shows in DC. He was caught up in the skinhead scene and all that, and hearing that song was like, holy shit, and just totally related to it. And that song really stuck out to me. But Godfather is amazing. Just all of them, man. Simple Minds, everything, man. The Crucial Three, just the whole record. That's another one I put in my top perfect records from beginning to, and trust me, I fucking play the shit out. Can I Say? I love Can I Say? I love Smalley on the. I love that. But Wig Out is Dag Nasty to me. It's a different chapter, man, and it really worked. And your vocals and your tone and your emotion, those songs still make me fucking goosebumpy today, man. You should be really proud of that record, man. I mean, it's just a really.
Oh, thank you, Toby. That means a lot to me. That really means a lot to me.
I mean, it's a really important record to so many people, and it's a part of, the punk, hardcore, whatever history. And I don't know, the timing of it too. What year did that came out? That came out. Let me check my note. That came out 87. Yeah, I was 17. It came out in 87.
Yeah, 87.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right before I moved to New York. I moved to New York in 88. So we were heavy going to shows like 84, 85, 86 in DC. When that came out, I remember, did you hear the Dag Nasty record? Wig Out? What is this? What does fuck Wig Out mean? We were so used to the Can I Say, but then we loved it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I loved it, and my whole band are on the same page. It's we loved when 7 Seconds went melodic and people hated them. I loved it. New and Records, one of my favorites as well. I love when they tried different shit and they sang more melodic. There was still 7 Seconds. They went from the crew rock together, but then they had New Wind, which was I don't know. I love hearing bands change it up, and you hear outside influences that aren't just punk rock. And I don't know. I just loved the record, and I wasn't mad or bummed or where is this guy or why does it sound like this? I was like, okay, this is new Dag Nasty. Maybe they're on some other shit we don't know. What the fuck is a Wig Out? What is a Denko?
Right.
So it was. I don't know. It was the different, and the flame was it was a new flame. It wasn't the flame with the burning head. It was just, yeah. It was back then. It wasn't like it. It was pre-internet. That was pre-internet. It wasn't. It was just. It didn't. It wasn't a big deal that it was a different singer and it was another record. At least to me and my friends, like, okay, cool. You know, it wasn't
Well,
like,
that's the thing. That's the
yeah.
thing too. It's because it doesn't have to be a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something I think about a lot now, just in terms of like uh, not even having any kind of judgment about it, but just accepting it as a fact. For some people, uh, sometimes they get into something, and if it changes, it really does piss them off.
Yeah.
Like it's personal.
Mm.
It's personal. Like you know, they're angry.
Yeah.
They're really, really angry. And are they that way about like everything in every band? Not necessarily. So there's just something about this one particular instance where that happens. And I think there were people who were into 7 Seconds who felt that way. There were people who were into Dag Nasty who felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? There might be people out there who like jump ship on Black Flag.
Yeah. Totally.
You know, every time it's like, Chavo's not in it. I'm
Yeah.
not listening to this ever again.
Yeah, you can't. You can't please. I learned that one thing I have learned to be in a band. You can't please everyone, man. Everybody has an opinion. Someone's gonna be bummed out.
Yeah.
Like you can't please every person that has supported you.
No, you can't. And you know what? I'm kind of at the point where it's like having any reaction, good or bad, is pretty fucking interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, you got to step back and say, wow, I'm doing something where you do get a reaction.
Yeah.
You know, positive or negative. Like,
Yeah.
just having that experience in your life is pretty fucking interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
So,
but I didn't really feel that way at the time. At the time, it was just like, oh no, people hate it. What am I going to do?
mm-hmm.
You know? And it either would make me feel afraid to try something new, or make me feel like, oh, I'm going to do something new, like almost more out of spite, without knowing like whether it's actually any good or not.
Yeah.
You know? So I think we had some missteps sometimes.
Yeah.
It's some stuff that we should have let percolate a little bit longer.
Yeah. How long
and
after?
Looked at with a more critical eye.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You guys released All Ages show in the same year, I think, right as Wig Out, right? 87.
Yeah. Although All Ages show was actually an older song. It was the first song that got written while I was in the band.
Okay.
But it was also written. It was written right after the tour that we did with the Senate. So this was before Doug was in the band.
Okay.
And so there are two different versions of that song floating around. There's one on the All Ages show single, but there's also a version that ended up on the Discord box set.
Oh, okay.
And that version's really cool too.
Oh, so it's out. That version's out. I can hear that version.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the All Ages show came out. That was amazing. I remember getting that 7-inch. Remember seeing you guys play that for the first time, maybe at 930 Club or something. I don't even know where it was, but I remember hearing those songs live. And then Field Day comes out. And that's a year later. And Field Day, I was already in New York, but I remember hearing the record. And that was so. It was so back then. It seems such a jump and different, but in reality, it really isn't. If you really think about like Wig Out through All Ages through Field Day, like, and Trouble Is obviously, but like that record, did you feel great about Field Day? Did you feel better about Field Day than you did about Wig Out?
I liked some of the songs more.
Okay.
I liked some of the I felt like I liked my singing better.
Mm-hmm.
But I never was happy with the overall sound, with the production.
Okay.
And I think that that's always been like a sticking point with that. And I feel like if it had been, I think for some people, like there are songs on there that people might have been able to enjoy if they didn't feel like, wow, this record is really like difficult to listen to, just sonically, you know?
Yeah.
And then of course, you know, we throw in a couple songs that also are going to be just so different
Yeah.
from everything that we did before that at a certain point, like if I were just objectively, if I were someone listening to that record for the first time, I would be like, okay, already I'm having trouble because just the overall sound is not great. And then I get to a song where I'm like, what the hell are they doing on this song now? What is that, flamenco guitar? And I might not listen to the rest of the record.
Yeah.
You know? So I see that record as kind of a lost opportunity.
Oh wow.
Like it would have been great to like pare it down and to have stepped back and listened to it and said, you know what, this isn't ready to be put out. Like the mix is just not good. We need to get someone with a fresh set of ears.
Yeah.
To listen to it, because we did it ourselves, and I think that was a mistake.
Ah, no outside, yeah, perspectives on it and stuff. Yeah. And so, what was the goal of that record? Was there like any certain style or just whatever? Because it's experimental for the time, I guess.
Well, I think that the goal, like the songs on there that were not particularly experimental, were definitely more the direction that we wanted to go in.
Got you.
So, you know, we wanted to do songs like Dear Mrs. Tuma. We wanted to do songs like Typical. Even a song like Things That Make No Sense was just like, you know, we wanted to do something that was more like a Descendant style, kind of sappy love song.
Yeah.
You know, the other stuff, like if we had stayed together, I don't think we would have done another La Canita. I don't think we would have done another ambulance song. I think we would have listened and just said, yeah, you know what? We tried it, and maybe it's not so good.
Were you stoked on the songs in that moment though? Not the sound, but were you happy with the songs?
Well, with those two songs in particular, I liked the music.
Yeah.
I was not happy with my performance.
Gotcha.
And even looking back on it, I'm like, I don't know if I could have done the songs any better than I did. I think maybe the lyrics should have been scrapped. Maybe it should have just been a different approach, or maybe I could have just listened to it and said, you know what, that's not something I can do really well.
Yeah.
But I was into the music, and the thing is, those two songs are songs that I wrote a lot of music for.
Gotcha.
So I was excited about it that way, but it's like, okay, I can write a song that I like, but it might not be a song I should sing.
Okay. That's a good point too. Wow. So when that record came out, what was that like? People kind of bug out when that came out? Like they're like, what is this or no?
Yeah. I mean, the reaction to that was a lot stronger than it was to Wig Out.
Okay.
Some people were really into it, and other people were just like, no, I don't like this at all. But they would still come to see us play.
Yeah.
Because they liked the first two records, and we were still playing that material.
Gotcha. And so once it came out,
maybe,
go ahead.
Maybe sometimes some people would leave and say, well, I heard some of those songs live, and they actually sounded pretty good live, so, I'll give the record another chance.
Oh, that's cool.
But even in that case, people were still like, yeah, I like the songs, but I wish the recording was better.
Yeah, I've been there. We have a record way overproduced, overpaid for album Go, which people love the record now, and there's some great songs on there, and it's the most debated record that me and my band have because where we were at that time, whose head was in the game, whose head wasn't, like what people were on their minds at the time, who took the reins of the band, songwriting. But we had like a big producer who rules, Matt Wallace. He's incredible. He did Replacements, Faith No More. He was picked by my drummer Todd Friend. That was his dream producer. We were at Rumbo Studios with Guns N' Roses next to us in the room. We stayed at the Oakwoods. We lived in LA for a month. And there's some really great songs that hold up in our live set. But the production, I can't stand it. I sound way over-tuned or over like trip with my vocals. And it just sounds like so thin. It's so pop. It's so clean. It's hard to explain. It's not a regret. And I've talked about my band that next year is 20 years of that album. And it'd be great to re-record all those songs with like Chad Gilbert, who did Nothing to Prove or did Use Your Voice. Like just have more of a raw sound because they hold up live. But the production of the record and when I hear the record, it makes me cringe knowing that wherever my head was at that time, I didn't write one song on that entire album, one lyric, nothing. I was moving to California. I was not happy with the major label move, but the band kind of not voted. They wanted to take a chance and try something different. We left Epitaph Records, and I just felt like I wasn't bumping heads for everybody, but I don't know if I gave up. I let the guys take the reins when I shouldn't have, and there's some really wonderful songs on there, but I didn't write one single song on the whole album, and I don't regret it because it came out the way it came out. I just wish, I don't know, man. When people say they love it, but the productions, we spent so much money on the record too, Peter. It's just such a waste, man. But the songs, like you said, I like the songs. They said to you, I like some of the songs on Field Day Live, but I don't like the production of the record. People say a lot. People love these songs. Back then, it was so cool to hate us and you're sellouts. Meanwhile, reason why we did it because a million of our favorite bands took a chance and tried a major label. We're like, wow, if they're going to take a chance, I love that band. They inspired me. Like a bunch of bands, so many of my friends' bands, and we took a chance and it didn't work. I mean, the record was one of our biggest selling records, and we did a video, and that was all fun. We were on Conan O'Brien, which was wonderful, and we wore all of our friends' favorite T-shirts on. We represented all of our friends' bands. We had their names written all around our speakers. John Joseph was in the audience, like cheering us like a dad. We had these great moments and did this shit. We stayed the exact same people. I was still vegan, straight edge. I was still the same person. We're all the same people. But because we're on a major label and because we got a big producer and because it sounded so fucking polished, which I hated, we were sellouts. Meanwhile, we're the exact same people that we never changed since the first 7-inch till now, but we're on a major label. But the song was so overproduced. My voice was echoey. I can't even listen to it now. It gives me douche chills. And like you said, but those songs live, they're great, like Memory Lane or Role Model, and we covered a Madonna Like a Prayer, and a lot of those songs sound great live, but the production, I should have spoke up then, like maybe you should have. I should have said something. I don't know if I didn't care. I don't know, man. I don't know where my head was at, but I guess you could call it a regret, I guess. I don't know.
It's you got to cut yourself some slack because at a certain point, recording music, at least my experience, is that at a certain point, you can get like really fatigued with it.
Yeah.
You can get to the point where you're just like, look, I just want it to be done. Okay.
It took a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard. And it seems like a lot of times the longer it takes, it's because you're trying to polish something that maybe you shouldn't be polishing.
Polishing a turd? That's what we always say.
That's the expression. That's the expression. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening there,
No, I know.
but I know that like back in the day, recording a record with Discord, or even doing Field Day, there wasn't any there wasn't any pitch correction or anything like that.
Hell no.
It's like if you hit a bad note, you either noticed and did it again, or somebody else noticed and told you to do it again. But now it's just like, it's kind of ridiculous. And my own experience is that sometimes even pitch correction isn't going to work.
True.
And my first modern experience is being in a room and seeing somebody like spending 25 minutes trying to correct one thing that I fucked up. One of like many. But they're just like doing triage. It's like, okay, I can only fix so many of these.
Yeah.
So they're trying to fix this thing and trying to fix it. And it's like, even when it's like so-called fixed, it's like, oh, this still sounds pretty shitty.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
I agree.
Point, you just got to say, just drop this. Move on to something else.
I know. We had so many people, so many cooks in the kitchen. I don't know, man. So yeah, I know what you're saying about like, the production. You hate the production, but you love the songs, and they live live and they work live, and yeah, I think it's a story for a lot of bands, I'm sure.
Sure.
But
yeah, and I mean, but again, but you recognize there are people who absolutely love that record.
They love it now. Back then they would hate it. We got so much hate, but over the years people love it. Oh my God, they love it.
But that's always a funny thing too. That people come around on stuff.
Yeah.
It takes them a while to realize that they actually like something. That they don't like.
Yeah. So how long were you in Dag Nasty after Field Day? Like, how soon after that did the band break up for good?
Let's see.
That was like 88 or 9.
That record came out. I think that record came out at the end, either the end of '87 or the end of '88. But I know it was like another six months.
Yeah.
And then it was done. Yeah. Yeah, I forget. Like, I think the very last show we did was either in Chicago or it was in Detroit. And I remember going home on July 4th, and later that day getting a call from Doug saying that Brian had left the band.
Wow.
And I don't think that he had left for Junkyard at that point. He just said, fuck it, I don't want to do it anymore.
Damn. And how were you bummed?
And that was that. Yeah, I was. I also was not like, I don't want to say relieved.
Yeah.
But I also could not imagine being in the band that we were going to become if we'd stayed together.
Yeah.
I was really kind of like, is this really me?
Yeah.
Like, singing for a band? Is this what I should be doing? It seemed more and more like kind of something I was pretending to do.
Well, you work at. Did you always maintain jobs in between tours?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were you like elementary teacher
Always
too?
had like, that was later.
Okay.
So when after the band broke up, I was working at the Smithsonian.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I was like a mail clerk for the libraries there.
Gotcha.
Best job I ever had. Well, I shouldn't say, because the job that I've got right now, I hope I still have, because I got laid off.
Oh wow.
But prior to the job that I have now, this job at the Smithsonian was awesome. For a guy with ADD to be working at the museums, because I was the mail clerk for all of the Smithsonian museums.
Oh wow.
There's like 5 or 6 different museums that I had to visit every day and could be behind the scenes.
That's cool.
Like, wow, look at all this cool shit everywhere.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
That's awesome.
But then Mandana finished undergrad and she got accepted to law school in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And so we moved to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And while she was in law school, I decided to finish up undergrad.
Okay.
So I went back to school. Then as soon as she was done with law school and I was done with undergrad, I went to law school.
You both went to, oh shit.
But she went on to become an attorney. I, on the other hand, didn't get anywhere as an attorney. And I ended up going back to school again to get a master's in education. And then I was teaching elementary school for about 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. So she's a lawyer still?
Yep.
Wow. And why did it work out for you?
I think what I realized was the reason that I decided to go to law school was because Madonna would come home while she was in law school and she would talk to me about her classes, and I thought they were really, really interesting. So I had no idea what being a lawyer would be like. I don't think I even really thought about it. I just thought, wow, those classes seem like they're pretty interesting. And what it took me a long time to realize was that the part I liked most about it was seeing how the things are being taught. But I didn't realize that what I was interested in was not law. What I was interested in was teaching.
Okay. That's awesome.
So I wasted a lot of money on law school.
Wait, so you got a bunch of loans. You got a bunch of loans and stuff, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm one of these guys who's like, I'm going to vote for whoever wants to get rid of student loans.
Yeah, I think some people I know have those too. I'm not going to say no names, but yeah, those are gnarly, right?
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
So how you were teaching for 10 years or longer?
Yeah, I was teaching for 10 years. And then eventually I ended up switching and doing what I'm doing now, which is working for this nonprofit, helping people with disabilities find work.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I like it because it's much more one-on-one. Like I'm much better working with people individually than I am working with like a class.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome though. So how long have you been doing that for?
Yeah. It'll be 3 years.
And they just laid you off now because of the Corona stuff?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Because the meat of what we do, like the majority of what brings in money for us, is doing job coaching for people who are actually employed, people that we've gotten jobs for.
Mm-hmm.
And because so many of those people can't go to work right now, that means we can't go to work either. And for us to be able to stay afloat, we just had to tell people, look, we're gonna have to lay you off until things get normal again.
And when do you think it's going to be?
I have no idea. no idea.
This is the craziest
whatsoever.
shit I've ever experienced in my life, man. Like, this is the craziest shit I've ever been on this planet seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's very surreal, man. And it's like I don't know how the end's going to be, and I don't know how we're all going to be when we leave our houses and get back to normal society, where people are going to be scared to go to shows, scared to spend money, scared to be around people. You know what I mean? Like, what's going to be what's going to be everybody's mindsets when they're actually allowed to go out and be, I guess, quote unquote, normal again? You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy, man.
My sort of Pollyanna view of it is, I think that people are more resilient than we might want to give them credit for.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people are so hungry for, for next year. They're hungry for November to come around. They're hungry for elections.
Yeah.
They're hungry for a change that they're not going to let this get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
No,
it's true.
They're just going to look at it as like, wow, So the last few months of this last 4 years, it got pretty shitty. It got pretty crazy. But now, now we have an idea of how we got here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, so let's not make the same mistakes.
Yeah, and I feel like the Earth is thriving now too. Like, the pollution's down in California, the pollution in China, the water clearing up, the animals coming out. There's so much different things. It's almost like Mother Nature's like, yo, you guys have been raping and pillaging and destroying me for so. Fuck you. I don't know. I just feel like she's over us,
Yeah, yeah. Mother Nature's like, I know a guy.
Yeah, totally. And it's crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So fast forward till now, 2020. I hear that I see something online, Field Day's playing, and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna be in Europe. So I missed the first show somewhere, or maybe Todd Friend, my drummer, sees it in Jersey or something. But like, what is this Field Day? And then like, nobody's even heard or seen of you, and I don't know, over a long time. And like, I hadn't seen you since you played back then. And then I finally get to see you guys because you're back and you're playing at the Viper Room. And I got to go to that show, and it was just, it was walking into like, what's it called? Like a time machine. And going in there, there's like a bunch of people that I've known over there and familiar faces in the crowd. I've been in the crowd like in years. I was up front singing. You guys pulled me on stage and put me on the spot. That was a great moment. Just being there and seeing you guys play these songs and it was so tight and so good, and your voice sounds so good, and just, it was almost like you guys were frozen in time, and then you come out, all of a sudden here you are in 2019, 2020. So what is that like for you to be gone so long, right? And come back and play these songs that I feel like you may see are more appreciated now than they were when they first came out, like especially Field Day stuff.
Well, for me, I feel like the timing couldn't be better.
Agreed.
Which it's a weird thing, but I think I finally got to the point where I'm sort of ready to step outside of my memories of what being in Dag Nasty was like.
Yeah.
Because I feel like part of my issue with Dag Nasty is that I wasn't really noticing enough of what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, I was way too in my own head. So I thought, this go round, the idea is pay attention.
Yeah.
Just pay attention to the whole experience. Pay attention to what's good about it, and and savor it. Pay attention to what's bad about it. Really think about, what do I find negative about it?
Yeah.
Should it bother me? If it does bother me, what is that about? What can I do about it?
I love that.
Just having the opportunity is amazing. And the fact is, I think for both me and Doug, like, we realized it's a time machine for us too.
Yeah.
Like, we like playing these songs a lot.
You can tell. You can totally tell.
If people are into hearing it, man, we're into playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really into playing it. I think we're probably more into it now than we were then.
Yeah, I would say that it's a different energy. It's a different, I don't know, man. It sounds so good. The songs sound great. All the different albums together in the set are perfect. You guys look like you're having lots of fun. You feel like you have more fun playing it now than you did back then?
Definitely.
I think you can tell that. Yeah, it's amazing, man. You know why, too? Go ahead.
Why? No, I'm glad that comes across.
Yeah. Because it's just for fun. There's no song. There's who knows what you're going through back then, you said, with just everything, and you're a grown ass adult now, and like you're having fun playing the songs. It's just fun. There's nothing else besides that. You're not counting on it to survive. You're playing the shows, and I don't know, I just feel like, not like you were back then, but this is like, oh, my big reunion, it's gonna make money. No, you're playing because you want to play again. These songs sound great, and so many people didn't get to see you sing those songs back then. Now they can, and it's just, I don't know, I feel like it was such an amazing surprise. I had no idea what to expect that day. You know what I mean? Like, Field Day isn't one of my favorite records. I love Wig Out, All Ages. I love, or what can I say if that's not, whatever. But just hearing those songs and then going there, like, holy shit. Just the way he came out, swinging, the set was tight, the energy was there. Didn't look like a bunch of old guys going through the motions. It was legit. Everybody's smiling, like you're smiling. It's like, you can feel that, like, you're excited to play these songs. I don't know. I was very, very pleasantly surprised, man. It was wonderful.
Well, I mean, one thing I have to recognize is that, like, I joined Dag Nasty as a fan of the band.
Yes.
And the fact is, Doug was a fan of the band too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the Descendants. He saw us play every night.
Yep.
Just like we saw the Descendants play every night.
Totally.
So, like, he was into it. So he ended up joining a band that he really liked. So, yeah, it's like, hey, we get to go out and play these songs by this band that we liked.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that whatever I might feel about Wig Out or Field Day, whatever I might feel about, was the production good? How are the songs? How did people take it? However Doug might feel about it, Doug and I liked being in a band together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what it was, but when Doug joined the band, I felt more comfortable than ever.
That's
like,
amazing.
I
That's
felt
awesome.
Like there was just somebody who was on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And we just have a good time being on stage together. It's
you can totally tell.
Yahoo!
You can tell everybody's friend. You can tell. Yeah, you can see the energy. It's like, it's not like bands that get back together to make money and hate each other. Oh, let's do a reunion. You can tell you're doing it for fun and you love it and you fucking miss playing those songs and they sound great. And it's like, were you nervous playing your first show after not playing shows for over 20 years?
Yeah, I was. But it's I don't know if it's your experience, but for me, it's like once you get on stage, that's it. You got to let it go.
100%.
You got to just jump into it. And I have the benefit of, like, I know these songs. I like these songs.
Yeah.
And frankly, nobody is coming to these shows unless they like it too.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's nobody who's like, oh, I've never heard of these guys. I guess I'm going to go check them out.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, if there's somebody standing there who wants to hear us play, we want to play it.
Yeah.
And so what's there to be nervous about? But just have a good time.
Yeah. Do you feel different being the age that you are coming back from when the age you stopped and then playing? You feel anything different as far as like how you are on stage? You just feel like a kid again when you sing those. I don't know. I guess being on stage, being in a band keeps you definitely young, not just physically. I think mentally too, and just I don't know. I don't know because you look great up there. You don't look like you're having any troubles being somebody in their 50s singing music. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, I can tell you something that is different. There are things in those songs that when I was in Dag Nasty and we would play live, I would change lyrics sometimes. Just kind of like screw around with things. Like there were especially stuff on Can I Say?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would sing different lyrics to Values Here. I would sing, have like a different rap in the middle of the song, What Now?
Nice.
But you know what? I don't do that anymore. Because I'm like, people are coming because they liked those records just as they were.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's almost like, to me, I don't own those songs anymore. The people who come, they've got like squatters' rights. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Those songs belong to them now.
Yeah.
It's like I can come back and visit, but I need to sing what they remember because I need to honor their part of it.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that.
All of those songs have a lot more meaning to me now because I'm finding out what they mean to other people.
I like that. That's awesome. That's pretty amazing, especially come back after all that and just meet people and talk to people who grew up with that record and how it connected to them personally and all that. That's amazing, man. That's the power of music, man. It's incredible. Yeah. I'm incredibly lucky to have the opportunity to do this. And so now you have new music coming out, which is exciting. And
I think we've got a pre-sale that starts. God, I actually think it starts Friday this week.
Oh wow,
and
it
then,
does? Okay.
Yeah, and then I think first week of June, single will be available. 2 songs, be on vinyl. I think it's going to be able to get it digital too.
It's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it. And it's funny because, you know, we have had the fortunate position of being able to play material that people already know.
Yep.
We know that people who are coming are going to hear what they want to hear.
Yep.
And it's like, now we got to move out of the comfort zone again.
Totally playing new songs.
And that's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. And the one thing I could say about the new stuff, it is a challenge. And when Doug and I first started talking about getting back together, and we were thinking about what the new material would be like, we were thinking like, okay, so we're calling ourselves Field Day. Maybe this stuff is going to be sort of a continuation of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we started playing live and started like going at these songs just like really aggressively, like, yeah let's play the shit out of them. Then we were kind of like, you know, that's actually a lot more fun. And so the stuff we ended up doing, at least the 2 songs that we're going to put out first, are like much, much, much more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like they definitely sound like we sound when we play. But people might be surprised. They might hear it and go, you know, this is actually like moving more towards Can I Say than it is continuing with Field Day. Now, believe me, we've got a lot of stuff that covers all of it, especially right now, because Doug and I have the opportunity right now to like work on new music because neither one of us have shit to do.
Peter, can you hear me?
And so we've got a lot of, yeah, I can hear you.
I keep talking. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. So, we've got stuff that we're working on that covers a lot of different eras. Like, we'll come out with something, really like aggressive and raw.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, now we're going to do our Simon and Garfunkel shtick.
Yeah.
We'll cover it all. We'll cover it all. But the single is definitely a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, the songs that I heard, they're very, it's a lot. It's a harder sounding you, not, as far as your vocals are concerned. It's more it's awesome because it's something that we haven't heard from you. From what I've heard, it's people haven't heard this side of your vocals. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what it comes from? It comes from now doing all of this Can I Say material. Because it's like I told Doug, I was like, there was a time when I didn't want to do that stuff at all. Like I was like, no, I don't want to do Can I Say. I just want to do the stuff that that I did.
Yep.
But now I'm like, man, I cannot wait to sing Justification.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I want a song like that, man.
Yeah.
I want a song where I'm like, So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's write it. Let's write a couple.
Yeah. Is it fun singing that style for you? Like recording it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. It took some getting used to, but I've sort of turned the corner on it. Now it's like it's a lot of fun. I'm finding my inner choke.
I like that. I like that. Is this first released in like 25 years? Wait, so that record come out in 80, 88 maybe? This is the first something. Wow, it's crazy, man. Is it 30 years? No, how many years is that? That's a long way. 20.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you nervous and exciting to put something new out? Both, right?
So this will sound weird, but I'm both nervous about it and stepping back and like observing myself being nervous about it. Like, oh, that's interesting. See, like you're this 55-year-old guy and you're like nervous about a couple of songs. Like that's a trip.
That is pretty interesting to think about like that.
It's like what's that all about? So I'm kind of like I've been through putting stuff out and like dealing with people's reaction to it.
Yeah.
So it's like cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot more interesting to do it that way than to just give people a clone of what they had before.
Exactly. Like I said, I like when bands change it up.
Dag Nasty was Dag Nasty is always about saying, "Really? Did you like that record? Good. Fuck you. We're going to do something different now."
Yeah, it's cool. It's crazy because it's almost like. Go ahead.
We're keeping up that tradition.
And it's almost, from what I heard, it's almost like something that would sound in between Can I Say and Wig Out. That's why I think it's interesting because it is more harder. You know what I mean? I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's how we play now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's just no fun to start recording and not like jump into the kind of energy that we have on stage.
Did you miss playing on stage all these years since you stopped playing?
Not really. It's a weird thing to sing for a band and at the same time be pretty much an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty okay with like keeping a low profile.
Yeah.
Like
you were off the grid for so long.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That's fine with me too. But I think I don't know. I think if it hadn't been with Doug, I don't think someone could convince me to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then going on stage now you love playing, right? Now you're excited to play another.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
when's my next
Oh
show?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 Like I was really, really bummed that we had all these shows lined up
I know,
that
man.
we ended up having to postpone.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
tomorrow I would have flown to freaking. No, tomorrow would have been the show in
That's
Jersey
right.
tomorrow night, man. Damn, man.
That's right.
Oh
But
my,
we're going to be there.
we're gonna
We're
be
going to be
there in a
there. It's
couple
just
months.
pushed off a bit.
I was
Oh,
so
that's going to be a
excited.
good time.
I know. Now I'm gonna turn 50 in my house, which is fine with my wife and my kid. But you're 50. You're 50. You're supposed to go out and do some shit. Oh man.
Oh man, I can't wait for Moon and Max to hear that. Yeah, now I'm just going to turn 50 in my house.
Well, they know. Whatever.
They're
I
gonna
know.
be like, they're gonna be like, what the fuck?
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be awesome. I'm just saying, like, everybody's like, "What are you gonna do? You want to meet at the park and we'll stand 6 feet away from each other?" I'm like, "No, man. Oh man."
We're gonna have a hell of a celebration now when we hit New York.
Yeah, we will.
When we
It'll
play
be.
New
It'll be.
Jersey.
I know. It's gonna be.
It's gonna be very good.
What would you say your top influences are as far as like a musician, artist, whatever? What would be your top?
Oh man, how do I even answer that? You know what? You know what I listen to the most? I listen to like recordings I made of cartoons that I watched when I was a kid.
That is amazing.
I listen to sound effects records.
Wow.
I listen to easy listening.
Wow.
I made this when I was like a couple of years out of high school. I took a tape recorder and left it in a parking garage and just like set it to record. And came back, flipped over the tape, set it to record again. So it's just the sound of the inside of a parking garage.
What?
Cars going by. Sometimes they have their windows rolled down so you can hear like little bits of music. I'll sit and just listen to that.
That is freaking cool, man.
So I'm like, I'm not sure what to say as far as influences go. You know, although I'm influenced by you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
No, man, thank you. Thank you, man. I'm like studying you. I'm studying your moves, man.
That means a lot to me.
No,
Thank you, man.
I am not kidding. I'm like, every time we play with you, I'm like, okay, how does he do that, man? Because you walk out there and you've just got the crowd into it instantly. I'm like, what? How the fuck does he do that?
Thank you, man. That was so fun having you on stage in Philly,
you.
man. That was awesome, dude. So fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's gonna be interesting the first time Field Day plays Philly because I've lived here for so long, and yet it's like it's not like a homecoming.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people know I'm here.
Yeah, it's interesting, man.
Except the people who are at H2O.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true though.
Yeah. See, you're putting me on the map.
Yeah, that was super cool. That was I'm sure a lot of people don't know you.
Oh, I had
Philly.
such a good time. You've got a nice bunch of friends, man. I met so many nice people there.
Thank you, man.
So many nice
I can't wait to meet the New York people. Oh my God, it's gonna be, dude. I can't wait for New York's gonna be a party. I hope July stays July. Nothing gets changed, man. I hope everything's better by then. You know.
Dude, I want to meet Vinny Stigma.
Oh, he'll be there. He'll be there.
You know, my entire experience with him is seeing him in that movie.
Yeah.
He's my hero now.
He's incredible,
like,
man.
I can just watch him. He is an entertaining motherfucker.
He's incredible, man. He is New York. He is New York to me. He's everything about New York, man. he's been there. Man, he's incredible. He looks so great for his age. Like
I know.
I
know.
love
It's
Stigma, man.
amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
If you have a chance, listen to him on my podcast, because you feel like you're in Little Italy the whole time. He's talking about Mott Street and growing up. He's really wonderful, man.
I can't wait to hear it.
Well, I think we covered a lot of things today, man. I'm really excited. New music coming out. I'm psyched to call you my friend. Seeing you guys play back in the day, and seeing you last year at the Viper Room, that was a surreal moment for me. Then getting to meet you guys, becoming friends with you guys. Now we're gonna play shows together. Like how important We Got was for me at that time when it came out. Just everything is just to be friends with you, the guy that sang on that record. Because when you're a kid, you look up to people. And you find out later on they're only a couple years older than you, but they seem like they're like so much older and so much over there. But it was just all people, and yeah, man, that record's a big part of inspiration for my life and my band's. Like we love that record. We love all the Dag Nasties, but like since I'm talking to you, Wig Out is just, yeah, man, Safe, Godfather, all that stuff, man. Just we were so psyched, singing Lies Are Just Exercises. Just like taking I think about now the road trips from Southern Maryland to DC, going to see you guys, or just going to a show, and that's on our soundtrack. And I'm happy you're back, and I'm happy you guys are having fun doing it. The songs that I heard are awesome, and it's a different vibe, but it works, and I think people are really going to be like, holy shit, And I don't know, I'm just.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, and you should know now it's full circle, because now you're the soundtrack as I travel around.
Wow, thank you, man. Thank you.
No, thank you, man. It's an incredible thing that I got to meet you, and it's an honor to do your program.
Yeah, I'm psyched to have you on here, and I'll make sure when we release it's right when the record comes out, so people know that it's coming out, and I'm psyched to see what people think about it. It's like first music in like 30 years. It's pretty exciting, man. And I can't wait to play with you guys in July once we get out of this quarantine, and people listening. Hope everybody.
Yeah.
By the time this comes out, hopefully this will be all over and everything's gonna be good again. It's just a really rough, interesting time right now.
Yeah. People are going to be ready, man. People are not going to come out of this not ready for a good time.
Yeah. Do you have any daily rituals you do?
Yeah, actually. So I have been wanting to get back into doing some kind of art.
Nice.
For the longest time. So I have these two different books that are like coursework on doing cartooning.
Gotcha.
That I've had sitting around for a couple of years, and I've just like gathered up when everybody else was out getting toilet paper. I was getting all the art supplies together.
That's amazing, man.
Hoarding those, and I got a table set up, and I just start the day doing one assignment from one book, one assignment from another book.
Wow.
Keeping my diary of all of it. Yeah, and that's been very cool.
That must be very therapeutic
and
too.
And of course, it is. And because other than that, my only ritual really is like cleaning the litter box.
You didn't do yoga, nothing like that, or no?
No, but you know what? I did finally decide to start jogging again.
Woohoo! Me too. I hate it, but I love it when I'm done.
I haven't done that since I got married.
Wow. So you've been jogging.
But I just got. It was just like I can't stand being cooped up anymore.
I know, man.
So it's like go and do this, and it feels really good. It's not like I'm going fast. It's not like I'm going far, but I'm just like, fuck, man, just start.
It feels good to run. At first it sucks, but when you're done, you feel so good, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
I remember.
Well, much love to Madonna, and I'm so happy you guys are together too. That's an amazing love story as well. You guys have been together so long.
Thank you.
And
give Max and Moon a hug for me.
I will, and I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate your friendship and all the music you put out there in the world that changed so many people's lives and inspired so many people. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was great. Let's try to see something real quick. How long we talked for? We covered a lot of shit though. Oh yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Damn, that's awesome.
Good luck. I hope you get 15 minutes out of it.
No, it's gonna be great. But Peter, I really appreciate everything, and thanks for your time today. And give my best to your wonderful wife.
Of course, man. Of course. Anytime, man. Toby, take care.
All right, brother. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to the next one.